Hello, and welcome to today's Quick Plays video on the science of baby pairs. These tiny pocket pairs tend to create a lot of confusion both pre-flop and post-flop. So in this video we'll analyze how these hands hit flops and begin to understand how to take better lines with these tricky pairs. For this video we are going to use the tool Flopzilla. This is a paid piece of software that you can pick up from flopzilla.com, and I've done an extensive video using this software as well. I'll leave a link for that video in the description box. In Flopzilla, we can plug in a single hand on the left, and we will get a full breakdown on how that hand hits the flop on the right. So let's get to work. First, what is a baby pair? I consider all small pocket pairs to be baby pairs, so pocket deuces to pocket sixes. Now some people may disagree and think that sixes is a medium pair, but by the end of this video you may feel differently. My general classification is that deuces to sixes are baby pairs, sevens to nines are medium pairs, and tens plus are big pairs. In certain spots, a hand like sevens could play closer to a baby pair, and in other spots, nines can shift closer to a big pair, but this is a safe starting point to work with. Let's start by plugging in deuces and seeing how the smallest baby pair hits flops. We notice on the right that deuces is going to flop a weak pair 88% of the time, and a set or better the other 12% of the time. Other starting hands like ace-king or 7-6 suited have more variety in the way they hit flops, but baby pairs tend to hit the flop in very black and white terms. Since deuces mostly hit weak pairs, let's think a bit deeper about that. A weak pair with deuces is always going to be fourth pair, whether the flop is ace-jack-9 or king-5-4. First, are you going to continue with deuces if you miss your set, or are you going to play deuces in a set or jet type way? Secondly, if you do continue with deuces, are you doing so more for value or more as a bluff? Playing fourth pair, which is likely to end up as sixth pair by the river, is extremely tough to do profitably, so keep that in mind. For a moment, let's look at the top side of the baby pair spectrum and plug in sixes along the left. Now we notice sixes hits flops a little differently. Yes, it still smashes the flop with a set or better 12% of the time, and flops a single pair the other 88% of the time. But the way it hits a single pair is different than deuces. Sixes only flops a weak pair 62% of the time, and thus has more second or third pairs, and even flops an overpair a whopping 3% of the time. Whether you flop a set with deuces or sixes, you are going to feel very comfortable. But if you flop fourth pair with deuces or third pair with sixes, are you going to feel a similar level of comfortability? I personally think they are both very similar. If the flop is ace-10-4, do I feel very different if I'm holding sixes or deuces? Likely not, and on most textures that's going to be a very common feeling. Part of this is due to equity, an ability for our hand to improve. If our baby pair flops just a single pair, it's usually against either a pair that's ahead of us or hands ranging in equity. On that same ace-10-4 board, villain has 42% equity with king-queen off versus our deuces. Even with just 8-7 of spades, villain has 31% equity against us. So villain can either bluff us off the hand later, or simply improve on their sizable chunk of equity. The other baby pairs, from 3s to 5s, are going to hit flops in a similar way. 12% sets or better, and 88% of single weak pairs. The good thing is that once you know how to play one baby pair, you pretty much know how to play all of them. So with this information on how these hands hit flops, what kind of pre-flop adjustments do we want to make? Most players set mine often with baby pairs, meaning they call a single raise pre-flop with the hopes of flopping a set or better. We know this will happen about 12% of the time, which isn't very often. If you aren't 100% sure what goes into a good set mine, check out our other video on the subject. But the key things to consider are the stack sizes, realistic implied odds, and the players left to act when you call pre-flop. Many players set mine too liberally and incur extra losses because of it. Just remember, if you can't call and set mine, your only options left are to 3-bet or fold. 3-betting with these hands is an option, but is it going to be best? The hand offers no real blocker value and misses the flop a ton of the time. If you 3-bet with a small pair like 4s and villain calls, what's your plan on most flops? If you c-bet on a flop like king 8-5, it's more of a bluff since you are way behind most ranges that would continue against your c-bet. And even the times 4s is ahead, say when villain floats with ace-queen, are we going to win that pot often? The issue is that the hand flops strong rarely, flops single pairs that can't stand up to much pressure and don't win good pot size as a showdown, and rarely flops good equity since it's usually looking to turn a set with 2 outs or a runner-runner draw. That doesn't make for a super profitable post-flop situation, barring some information or a solid plan. The other primary preflop consideration is whether to open raise, open limp, or just dump these hands preflop. As a pure default, I don't open limp. At a super passive table where I'm never going to get isolated and where players will still spew against my set in a super deep SPR pot, sure, but as a pure default, I'm either open raising or dumping these hands preflop. In most games I will open raise these hands. However, in certain situations I will fold them. For instance, at a full ring game I tend to just fold these hands from the first couple positions. There are so many people to get through, so many people that can take position on me, and I can't handle a 3-bet most of the time. The same concept carries over to very aggressive games. Why open with deuces if you just expect to get 3-bet off your hand preflop each time? It's the same reason why you don't call an open raise if you expect to get squeezed off your hand a ton. As always, the goal of this video isn't to tell you how to play every baby pair in every situation. That would be impossible, but with a firm understanding of how these hands smash flops, how often they flop tough pairs, and how the hands play post-flop, you can play these hands with more knowledge and confidence, which in turn allows you to choose better lines preflop and make your overall strategy stronger. Same as always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. Otherwise, good luck and happy grinding.